but yeah, we're gonna jump into WrestleMania 36 here, and as I was mentioning before, with doing my WrestleMania 6 review, they had 65 or 67,000 plus people. Um, WrestleMania 3 had 93,000 plus people, I believe it was.
It sounds about
There was
right.
one of them a couple years back had 101,000, I think. A couple years back, and they're going to break and make history, I guess, again, where this year it's going to be 0.
Yep.
Which, have you seen any of the empty arena Raw and SmackDowns, or even clips of them or anything?
I've seen a couple clips yet, and I mean, I don't think I've seen any of the promos. Like, I heard Stone Cold come out and cut a promo on 316 day. That I didn't see. But I did see a couple of the clips from like the matches and stuff like that, and I'm just kind of like, it was the best way to explain it. I wish I was the one that said this because it was perfect. I saw it on Facebook. Somebody said that it was like watching a sitcom without a laugh track. It was like the most perfect analogy, because think about watching as in a sitcom like George Lopez or Everybody Loves Raymond or something like that without the audience laugh track. It would just seem like the show is so empty. Somebody says a joke and there's no laughter. It's like
right.
a spot happens.
It's like
a spot happens. There's no cheering. A spot happens. There's no booing. Nothing.
All right. Well, what's so awkward to me about it is the fact that, these guys and gals, all of them, they'll do their entrances and stuff, and they'll walk out to the ring, and they're still like throwing their hands up in the air, and like, I get it, like that's what they're used to, and it's still like somewhat of a performance, I guess, as far as the TV audience is concerned, but it just seems so awkward. For instance, I think it was the first SmackDown that they did with no audience, and it's Jeff Hardy's return match, which I've been waiting for almost a year now, and he gets in there and he's like, Orlando, and he does that, leg drop between the legs, and Triple H is on commentary, and he goes, yeah, I think he's trying to hype up the Orlando crowd. It's just not working. So they even, mention it and poke fun at it almost on the commentary, and it's just, you can hear every single word that is said, which I try to, it's weird because I've tried to watch some of this, kind of like in a way where we would watch some of our old wrestling tapes, because we never had an audience, right?
I mean, we had those like couple kids that were what, like 3, 4, 5 years old that you told to shut up. I mean, we had them once.
Hey man, I was the heel. Let's throw that out there right now. I was the heel in that scenario. Okay, not that big of an asshole, but still, like, but the point is I try to look and watch it, kind of like that. But I don't know. It's still not the same.
Right.
It really isn't. And I don't know if it's because of their body language and stuff is still catered towards, a live audience. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
Or the fact that there's empty seats there and not a cornfield.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's that too. But my point to bringing that up is obviously kind of back around to my original point, is the fact that this is going to be the first WrestleMania with no fans,
right?
None. And WrestleMania has always, even whether you liked them or not. And I've watched a few old WrestleManias within the last year or two. I've seen WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 6. I've seen some of the old ones, and I've obviously have seen ones when we were growing up, and I'm talking like WrestleMania 14 that I've seen. I've seen WrestleMania 25. I've seen WrestleMania 30, and I've seen WrestleMania 35. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen a lot of them throughout the years, and they've always prided WrestleMania as being this big, humongous like stage show. It's just this big visual, I can't find the word that I was trying to use here. It's just this big deal visually.
It's a spectacle.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, this big visual spectacle. And this year, being that it's going to be at the Performance Center, with no fans, what do you think? I mean, what is your opinion on, I guess, how do you feel about how obviously it's going to be completely different visually in every sense of the word? So what is your opinions on, how it's going to look and, all that right now?
I mean, it's going to look hokey as fuck because, I mean, think about professional wrestling and what it is and how long it's been going on. I mean, hell, even indie shows that draw 10 people, are going to be...
Right, there's at least somebody.
Right. There's going to be literally nobody. So think about, I mean, really sit down and think about the last time that there's been a wrestling match to no people. An actual professional wrestling, organization having a match in front of nobody. I can think of 2 times that happened. One was Mankind and The Rock in their empty arena match, which was at Super Bowl halftime show, I think.
Yep, and that was 98 or 99, somewhere in there.
And then I think it was Jerry Lawler and somebody else had one way back.
I believe that was Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk.
It sounds right. I knew there was 2 of them. So twice in the history of professional wrestling, which goes back to what, the 40s, 50s, if not longer? Well,
there may have been some other ones in like the territorial days and everything else, but I mean, I guess at this point, who's really counting? But even with that though, that was like a gimmick or a stipulation of the match.
Right.
It was billed that way on purpose.
Yeah.
So, it was completely different. And now you're going to have your show of shows, your major show, of the year, take place in front of no people in this small. Obviously, the Performance Center is a great building, a big building where they do a lot of training and, multiple rings and all that stuff. And the fact that they can do this here is great. But, compared to the big open, football stadiums and everything they've been doing it in the last couple of years, it's just, I mean, we're going to be watching WrestleMania, but I feel like it's not going to be watching WrestleMania, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's probably going to look and feel like watching 2 wrestlers in the ring practice.
Right. And it's just going to be weird.